Welcome, everyone. My name is Naomi Shah. I am the chair of the ATS Sleep and Respiratory Neurobiology Assembly, and I'm really excited to bring this town hall to our membership, along with the executive committee members that are on with me today of the Sleep Respiratory Neurobiology Executive Committee. What we are hoping to accomplish today is really convey to you sort of what's been happening behind the scenes. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do the town hall is to sort of help SRN members who want to engage but have been struggling with committees and understanding sort of the leadership structure and just allowing you to provide input as well. So SRN is moving towards openness and year-round engagement. So it's really trying to move away from having everything at the ATS May conference, the international conference, but really providing a year-round opportunity for you to engage. And so it's expanding participation. I'm going to clarify leadership pathways and leadership structure today, and also create sustained connection beyond the ATS conference that happens every May. What I am hoping this will do is provide a coordinated initiatives across multiple opportunities and committees, and it also will broaden participation and recognition and translate member ideas into real opportunities and impact. So really, it's about taking the challenge where members may not have fully understood how to engage and also understand sort of the operations of the SRN, and then provide the strategic shift, and then hopefully the outcomes will be palpable at the level of the membership. And so my vision for this for the next 2 years and for this hour is really to again convey what we've been working on in the last 6 months, and also provide a moderated discussion with each of the executive committee members. Our next town hall is in April 16th, 5 to 6 p.m. If you can hold that on your calendars, that would be great. We would love to hear more from you. So here's the structure of the ATS SRN Executive Committee. We have standing committees on the left, and then we have working groups, and then we also have specific folks that help communicate with the broader ATS committees. And then we also have chair appointees that I select to help guide sort of the direction of the sleep assembly. And then we have Aspire that Rich Schwab has been running. And so we'll get into all of this in the next few slides. And so my overarching goals for the term, which is from 2027 to 2025 to 2027, is to grow the SRN membership. So expand engagement across career stages and disciplines to strengthen SRN's collective voice within ATS. And it's important because our membership has been around 600 for the last, actually probably for the last decade. That's the number that I've always heard. So I really want to try to expand our membership so that we have obviously a stronger footprint in ATS to get more for sleep and respiratory neurobiology. The other sort of goal is to enhance communication and transparency. So I want to improve the ability for our membership to see exactly sort of what happens behind the scenes, and for them to understand priorities, decisions, and opportunities to engage. This includes understanding how decisions are made. So, for example, how do people get nominated for certain membership positions or committee chairs? Not everybody fully understands that. How do you get yourself nominated, or your colleague who may not be as visible in ATS, but you think really deserves that? So I think this is really one of my goals in our committee. Our executive committee has been working to provide that, and you'll see that today. Strengthen SRN programming, right? So develop consistent committee-driven year-round initiatives beyond the annual meeting to provide sort of more of a return on investment on your membership fees, and for you to be engaged with your colleagues throughout the year. Another goal personally for me is to strengthen the SRN. Really, it's a membership meeting. We call it our business meeting, but it's our membership meeting that happens on at ATS. Every time you're there, it's from 5 to 7. I'm sure you all have been there, but really want to enhance that experience by having sort
Oh.
of a proper food and a proper,
Mm.
setup. I think there's someone that's not muted. If you can mute yourself, that would be great. Not sure who it is, but appreciate that. Thank you. And also provide an engagement opportunity at that business meeting. So not just where you're hearing about what's happening, but really for you to engage with the executive committee, your colleagues, and give us input. So hopefully you will be able to see some changes at the upcoming business meeting. And then finally, increase the SRN impact within ATS. And a larger engaged SRN enables influence on programming, leadership, and the future of sleep and respiratory neurobiology. What do I mean by that? We hear all the time that sleep doesn't have as much of a footprint, or, why does this assembly get so much more than sleep? So my approach has been, instead of complaining about it, to really broaden our membership, to be able to get our voices heard, because really that's my understanding of how ATS works, is that, if your size of the assembly is very large, that does influence obviously what they provide in terms of the number of slots and things like that. So again, that's really these are some of the overarching goals that I have. We want to hear from you. I'm not sure if you've seen, we did put out a needs assessment survey. This is the QR code, so if you can pull out your phones and just make sure that you provide us input. This is really going to be important for me to continue to hear what you have to say and deliver programming accordingly. Um, the other piece here is for you, a lot of you may be wondering, how do you get involved? So again, you can scan this QR code or go to this website and really put your name down. We'll email you and we'll get you involved. So if you're wondering about that, these are just some ways for you to get engaged. All right, so I think that that's a lot of sort of discussions from me. I'm going to take a quick sort of second to see if there are any questions from folks that that are registrants. You can put your questions in the Q&A. Yeah, I don't think I'm seeing anything yet. So feel free to put your questions in the chat, and then we will come to them. And so then I'm going to try to move now into our standing committees. I'm going to move into the program committee, which is currently chaired by Dr. Clara Yagi. And Clara, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Naomi. And I'm very excited about the energy and the transparency and expansion of the assembly that you're bringing to your tenure here. I'm Clara Yagi. I'm a pulmonary critical care and sleep medicine specialist at Yale University, and working with Manu Sanchez de la Torre in the program committee this year.
Great. Thanks, Clara. And Manu, do you want to introduce yourself briefly as you're coming in next year?
Hello, it's my pleasure to be today here. Thank you, Naomi, for your leadership and providing this kind of information about what we are working in the community. So I'm working with Clara Yagi for the program committee, and I try to learn as much as possible for the next year. But I have a very good professor with Clara. Thank you, Clara, for your patience and your help. So we are offered, of course, for any input about we are working about and about the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you both for your work on as a program committee. So just to bring people up to speed, traditional model for programming is that, the ATS programming committee is primarily responsible for the content that you see at the ATS. What do I mean by that? Ideas are generated in the meeting that happens at the ATS. So at about 6 in the morning, one of the days of the ATS conference, the program committee gets together. It's about 20 to 30 people. And a lot of the generated ideas are then converted into potential symposia, workshops, and the like. And so, and then the speakers are also selected as part of that process, right? So you can imagine if I'm sitting in the group, I'm going to know a limited number of people. I'm not going to know people that probably are experts in that space and haven't published, or I don't have access to them, but they may bring something to ATS. So a lot of these are great ideas. They're great names and speakers, but I feel like we're probably missing the opportunity to engage folks that we may just not know about. And then once these ideas are generated, the program committee then drives the submission of these through, again, members of the program committee. And so what I was proposing this year is an open programming pilot where SRN members can send ideas directly to the committee. So before they actually meet at that 6 a.m. meeting, our membership can send ideas for sessions that they would like to see. And then Clar and Manu will go through those ideas and then bring those ideas to the program committee so that there is an opportunity for us to not only leverage the expertise of the program committee, but also have input from our membership. And so that's really the idea here. And similarly, we would take nominations for speakers. So we would open up a portal for you to not only give ideas for sessions, but also ideas for who may be a good speaker or a chair for a certain session, as opposed to, again, the program committee or the SRN executive committee reaching out to the people that they know or are sort of, again, not as new to ATS in the hopes of getting more folks into the pipeline, but also expanding our membership and then hearing across the global platform, which is really the goal here. So I want to just ask Clar, maybe if you can comment for our SRN members, what might a pilot of open programming look like in practice, and what might they expect to see when might they expect to see something like this rolled out?
Yes, we are, Manu and I are really excited about piloting this this year. And our plan is to start with launching sort of a session idea inbox via a survey form that would go out to our SRN membership sometime late February. Start collecting ideas from the membership in March and in April, and beginning to prepare a list of membership ideas, likely blinding the institutions from which they are submitted for discussion at the program committee meeting that you mentioned at ATS. And the idea would be first to review the membership generated ideas, and then bring in any additional ideas from the program committee itself. And as you mentioned, Naomi, take the end of May and send out an additional request for speakers on various topics, and then really the proposals themselves are due towards the end of June. So we're excited about this. So we hope to get a lot of engagement. I think it's these ideas, just to remind folks, are for scientific symposiums, postgraduate courses, meet the expert sessions, and some of the other sessions that we're all familiar with at ATS, the mini symposiums, poster discussions, and rapids, and are generated from the abstracts that are submitted. So this survey would really focus on scientific symposiums, the courses, and meet the expert sessions.
Thank you so much, Clar. That sounds like a wonderful plan, and hopefully that will get more people submitting ideas and also more people chairing and speaking at our meetings, which I would love to see sort of some new faces. So thank you both for your leadership and for all the hard work and for being open to these ideas, because I know change is not always easy, but I appreciate your partnership, Clar, especially with you this past year while you've been chair. And I look forward to working with Manu next year. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next standing committee section, and I'm combining them with the planning and nominating committee. Unfortunately, because we had the issue with our last scheduled date for the town hall, none of these folks are able to make it today. But they did tell me that if you have any questions or suggestions about the new initiatives slash ideas I'm about to share with you, please feel free to reach out to me or them directly. So it's Camilla Hoyos and Sushmita Pamidi, who are the chairs of the planning committee. Sushmita is outgoing, Camilla is incoming. And the nominating committee chair is Bob Owens, who was also the assembly chair prior to my term. And so in terms of what are we planning for these committees, here's just a quick snapshot. So SRN projects, I think that there's a lot of information that can be learned about how ATS projects work, what makes a strong proposal, how reviews occur, and how members can contribute ideas. And so there's going to be a 1 hour webinar on SRN project preparation. So if you're interested in that, or if you've submitted projects and have felt like you didn't have all the information, this would be a good one for you to attend. Similarly, we're going to be having a 1 hour webinar on honors preview or awards preview. This is really how the SRN awards and the respiratory health awards are sort of prepared and submitted. It will cover the categories, eligibility, examples of strong nominations, and how you can submit these nominations. It will be co-hosted by both the nominating and planning committee because the SRN awards are handled by the nominating committee, but the respiratory health awards are done by the planning committee. So again, this is just my attempt in terms of when I was on sort of the receiving end of this, there was not a lot of clarity besides going to the website. So this will just give you a place for you to hear about, what does a letter for a respiratory health award look like? What are they looking for? What are some things you want to say there for your colleague to win? And how do you get more people nominated, really? And then there's also going to be a year-round nomination portal where members can submit names at any time. So say you're sitting tonight at your desk and you realize that, this person's a great person. What award can I nominate them? You could just submit the name through the portal once it's up and running, and you should be able to get these folks on the radar for us to contact them as well. So I have questions for Sushmita Pamidi and Bob Owens, but I can't ask them because they're not here, but we will hopefully get to these at the next town hall. So the next segment I'm going to move into is the web committee, and then we'll take a break after just to see if there are any questions about any of the standing committees. And so the web committee is chaired by Elena Shotland and Iris Perez, and I think both of them are on. So we will cover some of the content. And Elena, do you want to introduce yourself, and Iris after you?
Sure. I'm Elena Shotland. I'm at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York. I am a long-term member of the web committee, and this year have the privilege of serving as the web director.
Thank you, Elena. Is Iris on?
Iris was on, but I think she has her patient just checked in clinic. So, and Iris is also another long-term member of the web committee, and she is at USC Children's Hospital.
Great. I see you, Iris, but I can't hear you because you're on mute. But we will work with Elena, but appreciate your work on this as well. So the web committee initiatives are listed here. There's going to be 3, and these are SRN Spotlight Series, Sleep Science in 180 Seconds, and Pathways to Leadership. So web committee would identify members to spotlight per quarter across educational, clinical, research, and administrative pillars of medicine. This is just another way to spotlight some of our junior investigators or trainees, or even established investigators that can't always make the meeting or are doing amazing work throughout the year. And we just cannot get people recognized through the awards pipeline or other mechanisms. So this is just another way for us to highlight and spotlight some of our incredible members and what they're accomplishing. The other piece, Sleep Science in 180 Seconds, is an attempt to cover more journal articles that are published as opposed to one journal club or two journal club. This would replace a 1 hour, one article journal club with a short, engaging format, reviewing 8 to 10 important papers in about 60 minutes. So it'd be a little more rapid, but will allow us to have a broader coverage of the published articles in sleep and respiratory neurobiology. And then lastly, there's going to be a 1 hour webinar before ATS 2026 focused on leadership journeys and advice. And so, pathways to leadership across ATS or in your academic careers would be another sort of element that the web committee is working on. And just to provide context, all of these ideas were generated in sort of in collaboration with each of the chairs, and they have sort of worked with me, and we had many ideas, and these were the final ones that we all felt like were the highest sort of reward for the membership, and also feasibility and resource sort of not as heavy lifts on those aspects. So just in case you're wondering how these came about. So questions for Elena and Iris for SRN Science 360. Why should members have their papers highlighted by ATS? Really, what's in it for them, and how can they actually get their papers to you if they're interested? And then the second question is for the SRN Spotlight Series Spark. Who are you looking to highlight, and how can members nominate or suggest individuals?
So thank you, Naomi. So for the SRN Science 360, it's a great way to get your work out there and get new eyes on your work that normally may not have come across your work. It generates interest in you, may foster collaboration. So it's just a great way of just getting yourself out there and in front of other people. For the SRN Spotlight series, we are going to have a portal, but for now, we put it in the chat. You can reach us at srn.spotlight@gmail.com. We're looking for people who perhaps these are people known to all of us, but these are people that you may know that the rest of us may not know, and you'd like to highlight them. And these could be people who have advanced the field, improved patient care, contributed to innovative research, strengthened education or membership, promoted equity or access, or have made a notable impact within their institution, community, or broader sleep field. So we would love to highlight these individuals who may not normally have reached everyone's attention. So it's just a great way to, again, get people out there, get people known by the larger community.
Great. Thanks, Elena. All right, so I think we are going to take a quick minute here before I go into the working groups to see if there are any questions from any of our attendees.
Naomi, there's one in the chat about dyspnea.
Yes, I was trying to see that. Does the section consider dyspnea part of the purview of the section? So are we talking about the assembly? Richard, are you able to unmute? So I guess the question is, from what I'm understanding, is dyspnea part of the sleep respiratory neurobiology assembly? And is that what I'm understanding? Oh, yeah, Richard has his hand up.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So years ago, I was actually on the program committee at one point for this section, and we had a lot of dyspnea work that it was going on, and we had sessions on that. And it has felt to me in recent years that the focus of the assembly has changed and become much more tuned to sleep-related issues, which is fine if that's where most of the members are doing. And I've been looking for a home and going a bit more to clinical problems for trying to do programming and so forth. So I'm just curious and wanted to come on this meeting to see, is there anybody else who's interested in respiratory sensations and the neurobiology related to that? And the Europeans are very big on this now. There are fewer Americans that are doing it, but large groups of Europeans are part of this. And is this something that the assembly wants to do or not really?
Thank you for that question. I see Atul's hands up. Atul, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I can give a little perspective. So Rich and I are good friends. the assembly used to be called Sleep and Respiratory Neurobiology, and then we changed, or it used to be Respiratory Neurobiology and Sleep. We changed it to Sleep and Respiratory Neurobiology. There was concern we might lose dyspnea along the way, and that may have happened. But Rich, as I think you know, we worked with Bob Benzett and other mutual colleagues to try and bring that back. And when I was program chair, I'd asked to try and solicit dyspnea abstracts, and I said if we got 15 or 20, then we'd have a featured speaker and we'd have a mini symposium. But the number of abstracts that came in was fairly low. I think it was 5. And then we tried to do a workshop, and that was also not well attended. So I felt like people were voting with their feet. But Rich, if you feel there's a lot of interest in that, I think the strength is in numbers in terms of the abstracts. If we can generate a lot of abstracts, I'm sure the programming will follow suit.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I tried to get a scientific session in on dyspnea, particularly with respect to mechanical ventilation, which is getting a great deal of attention these days. The way that we ventilate people is probably creating a lot of mental health disorders, PTSD, and things like that, related again to the neurobiology. But I recognize. I mean, I actually did a poster session probably 2 years ago that came up at the end of the meeting. But I recognize there are many fewer Americans who are sort of doing this work now, and it is more of an international element with more focus on the ventilators these days. Although ambulatory dyspnea and chronic illness is a focus as well for many Europeans.
If you can generate a lot of abstracts in that domain from Europeans or otherwise, I think that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, and other opportunities include some of the open programming that we mentioned. So if you feel that this is an area that you want to propose, the program committee can work with you to either do abstracts would be programmed in a mini symposium, but if you wanted to do a scientific symposium, that could be something that could be worked on. But of course, I think as Atul said, that I would encourage you to ensure that there's still sleep related aspects to the dyspnea angle, right? And so, sort of home ventilators, non-invasive ventilation, um, and then sleep and dyspnea potentially have some way to overlap so that, again, people will actually come to those sessions. But I appreciate your question. And yeah, reach out if you have any further ideas. So I'm going to move into the working groups next, if that's okay. I'm assuming you all can still see my slides, right? Just doing a quick check because my Zoom has never done that. So of course, there's always a first time for it. So we're going to go into early career working group. Our co-chairs are Marwa Ibrahim, Anna Sanchez as Zafra, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and Tahir Malik, and Brandon Noakes does the social media piece. So maybe I'll have all of you introduce yourselves briefly, and we will get into the initiatives. So let's start with Marwa, then Brandon, then Anna, and then Tahir.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marwa Ibrahim, pulmonary critical care and sleep medicine at NYU and Bellevue Hospital.
Brandon?
Hi there. I'm Brandon Oaks. I'm pulmonary critical care, UCSD, and sleep at the VA here. Nice to meet you all.
Hi everyone, I'm Ana Sanchez. I'm Director of Clinical Development in Industry, and I'm very excited to support the growth and success of early career members within the SRN.
Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Tahir Malik. I'm a second-year pulmonary critical care and sleep medicine fellow at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. It's good to meet everyone.
And we actually have usually 2 people. There's 4 here because we need social media expertise, which Brandon provides. And then we also have an extra person who's Tahir, who's helping cover Anna's time while she's away, but still here on the call today because that's how incredibly dedicated she is. So that's why you're seeing 4 people. So we'll move into the initiatives that they're planning. There is My First Grant Clinic and the SRN Happy Hour at ATS. So My First Grant Clinic is going to be a 60-minute virtual session that's going to be focused on early grant writing. And I recognize that ATS has several sort of aims and grant writing sessions. This is just mostly for our sleep investigators that are junior and that are going to be putting in grants. And so hopefully the hour can be more structured around sleep and respiratory neurobiology related applications, but is open for anyone. Covers crafting a strong aims page, research plan, and key grant components, and it's really designed, again, to support members new to grant applications. The second one is SRN Happy Hour at ATS, which will be at the actual ATS meeting. This will be an informal gathering at the annual meeting. Our group is working on finding a location. You will pay for your drinks and food, but you will have the company guaranteed by ATS SRN. So this will be an opportunity to connect with peers, build relationships, and foster long-term collaborations, and just have a common place that's pre-designated where people can meet and hang out and meet people that's beyond just the membership meeting. So those are the two initiatives that we have rolled out. And my questions for the entire group, with I think Marwa at sort of the lead person, and I didn't realize Anna was here. So Anna, feel free to comment, or Tahir, what other initiatives are planned or in development for Early Career Working Group beyond what I've just discussed today? And how do you plan to communicate any new Early Career Working Group programming and engagement opportunities to the broader SRN membership?
I can start by saying that one of our other initiatives is to really expand our current membership. And we're hoping to do that over the next few weeks and months, and definitely at the upcoming conference. My goal is to have some of the members of the group kind of serve as like ambassadors to try to, hopefully invite and engage other, interested early career members, whether they're like associates or friends, just kind of spread, word of mouth, and hopefully at the happy hour too, trying to highlight that event as well. So that's one of the biggest goals for our group. And in terms of engaging or communicating future early career working group events, one of the ideas that we had as a group was to, leverage some of our other committees. For example, like the web committee, if there's a webinar, maybe at the end of it, highlighting an upcoming early career working group event, or kind of leveraging our shared committees to really push forward some of our upcoming events. And the event that we're trying to plan, like Naomi just mentioned, will hopefully be in March, and we're going to actually try to record it and promote certain segments of it for the future to promote on social media or any other platform, so that we can engage membership in that way as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marwa.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody else want to add anything? Anna, Tahir, Brandon?
No, I think Marwa has done a fantastic job explaining it. Thank you so much, Marwa.
And just a plug to join our LinkedIn if you haven't.
Tahir, anything?
I think the only other piece is that, as we recruit hopefully a larger membership, we're going to really try to figure out how we can pair some of these early sort of career physicians as mentees with mentors who are sort of later on in their career. And hopefully that's something we can connect with a larger assembly and figure out how we can sort of start to build and foster these connections so that we have like a returning roster year after year of these early career working members.
Great. So hopefully you guys will have at least 50 people at the happy hour. I don't know. What's your target? Do you have a number? If you don't set a goal, I don't know. It's hard to achieve it, right? So what's your goal? I would love to hear it so that when I walk in, I know how many people you actually got through.
I think 25 is a good goal. Yeah.
It's okay to overshoot. I mean, it's just setting a goal and then you achieve where you can. But I appreciate all four of you. It's been such a great experience working with all four of you, and all of you stepping up and doing this, given we've had some multiple sort of changes. But thank you all. I look forward to the happy hour.
Thanks, Naomi.
Anytime. All right, so I know we have about 21 minutes and we have a few committees to review, so I'm just going to continue to go through and then we'll pause once I've gone through the working groups for any member questions. So the next is Sleep Fellowship Program Director Committee that is run by Vaishnavi Kundel. And this wasn't really a committee. It's now going to be an education committee equivalent. And the education committee initiatives are listed here that Vaishnavi and I thought would be good for us to pursue in the next few months. So the first is Fellows Connect National. This is a 15-minute virtual ATS SRN overview that's going to be delivered to as many pulmonary critical care and sleep medicine programs in the country. And the idea would be that it would introduce sort of fellows early on what the benefits are for ATS and the sleep and respiratory neurobiology specifically, and sort of why should they join. The other is a specific partnership with ATS and ASM. So as an early career myself, I benefited from being a part of CHEST, American Academy of Sleep Medicine, the the Sleep Research Society, and ATS. And I think that there isn't reason why we need to be in only one organization. You can really gain from multiple. So this is going to be that attempt at the partnership where we will have joint trainee engagement with ASM and partner organizations. It will include a ASM sleep and respiratory neurobiology webinar. There will be an ATS presence at the YIRF, which is the Young Investigators Research Forum. I think there's, Brandon, do you mind muting? I'm getting some background noise from you. And then I'll mute him, sorry. And then ASM will hopefully be present at the ATS SRN membership meeting. And the idea here is that it doesn't have to be exclusive. We can work together to improve the sort of overall career experience of all of our membership, but specifically our junior members. So questions for Vaishnavi, and I know there are several here, but the interest of time, I'm going to ask you to talk about the first one, which is how will Fellows Connect National help introduce trainees to sleep respiratory neurobiology and ATS earlier in their careers? Meaning, how do you envision this broad attempt at getting our members early? How do you envision that's going to work out, and what's your plan?
Yeah. Thank you, Naomi. Hi, everyone. I'm Vaishnavi. I'm an associate professor at Mount Sinai in pulmonary critical care, and I also direct the sleep medicine fellowship. So as far as the Fellows Connect National, I think really the goal is, as Naomi mentioned, to really create a short video, but a high impact video that really outlines why should a trainee at an early stage get involved in the SRN, and kind of what are highlight the benefits and advantages of being involved early in the SRN. So some of that includes, participating in the apprenticeship program, which then helps you get more involved in the SRN as a whole. Connecting some of the fellows and trainees with the initiatives planned by the Early Career Working Group. So there's going to be some cross-pollination there, and really kind of highlight these benefits and disseminate it to some of the fellowship programs in the country, the sleep fellowship programs in the country. And we actually have through ATS a listserv of sleep fellowship program directors that's actually managed by Lauren Lynch from ATS. So I'm going to work with Lauren and Miriam and really kind of use this platform to disseminate this video to trainees in sleep fellowship programs to help connect them to the SRN and really highlight the benefits. And I say this because this very much reflects my own journey through SRN. I really got involved as a pulmonary critical care fellow, and I've really been able to build a community within the SRN. And then I think the other thing is the other initiative is the Bridge Partnership. So I'm planning to organize a webinar probably in the spring with some of the ASM leadership, and with the goal of really having trainees attend this webinar and help cross-pollinate members within the ASM and the SRN. So we can kind of learn about benefits from being involved in both organizations early on in your career. So these are kind of the starting initiatives to hopefully help grow this.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. Sorry, I forgot to give you a chance to introduce yourself, but I'm glad you did that. I would just encourage you in the video. There are a couple of areas that I think are problematic. One is how do people fund their time to come to ATS, and also registration fees. And so I think you may want to cover that, provide some solutions to that problem because it's a common one. And also really allowing all fellows in all years to have the option to attend ATS, even if they don't have content that they're presenting, because I think that even if you're not presenting at ATS, to me, it was such an important part of my career journey and has continues to be that I think we need to sort of brainstorm with the executive committee on how, and maybe you can demo the video to the executive committee before you actually, put it out there. So we'd love to hear more about that. And thank you again for all your work and taking this on from a committee that, really was serving as a liaison between ATS's program directors, but you've really been agreeable to do more, which I appreciate. Okay, and then I'm going to move on to the advocacy working group that is currently chaired by Susan Redline and former chair of Sanjay Patel. Do you guys want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, hi, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Naomi. Yeah, I'm Susan Redline. I'm a sleep medicine epidemiologist at Brigham and Women's Hospital and Harvard School of Public Health. And thank you, Naomi, for this wonderful leadership and great session today.
Thanks, Susan.
And I'm Sanjay Patel. I'm a sleep physician scientist at the University of Pittsburgh.
Hi, Sanjay. Thank you. So the advocacy working group is planning two initiatives. One is SRN open mic advocacy, which is a 1 hour virtual listening session for both Sanjay and Susan to gather frontline advocacy issues that they may be either aware of or not aware of, but really to gather more information around these issues. And the second is an SRN advocacy line, which would be a year-round submission form for members to submit policy issues, state-specific problems, and other advocacy ideas. And I think that, in addition to all the great work that they do already, this will just sort of hopefully enhance the ability for our membership to bring issues to their attention. So Susan and Sanjay, if you can comment on how this advocacy working group currently identifies what issues are most important to SRN members, and what are the best ways for the advocacy working group to connect with members who want to engage in the advocacy work that you do or stay informed about the work that you all are doing.
Yeah, thanks, Naomi. I'll say a few words, and Sanjay, who has much more experience now with the group, I'll defer maybe some comments to him. But a lot of our priorities, frankly, are first of all, let me say that advocacy is a bottomless sort of pit in some ways because there's so many needs and there's so many resources. So we do feel we need to be quite intentional about what we choose to put our energies in, both in terms of identifying what is really an ATS priority, and ATS should take the leadership versus perhaps we need to maybe advocate to have to work with partners and have other partners take the leadership. But so that's the first thing is the group does go through that kind of intentional prioritization. And then a lot of what we do is honestly is the sort of the passions of the people who work on this because they put so many hours in advocating and reaching out. But we would love to hear and engage people, particularly because often what we are interested in advocating has to do with payer policies and governmental policies, and having people on the ground, clinicians on the ground from across the United States and in some cases across the world would be really, really useful. So during our open mic sessions, we'll expand more on the specific initiatives that we're involved with that relates to CPAP adherence and HSAT reimbursement and PhD policies and grant funding, and there are leaders in our group at each of them that they could contact, and as well as contact me if they're interested in any of these or if they have new ideas. But let me ask Sanjay with his wisdom to maybe say anything more.
No, I think I agree with what you've said, Susan. I think there's, as you said, there's an endless number of things, and especially with what's going on in the world today, there's probably even more things than usual that we might be passionate about advocating for. I think it's choosing those things that our assembly is best poised to be the leader of. I think we are trying to work with other groups within the ATS as well as other organizations And so often it's just communicating with those organizations to find out who might be the best. And so a lot of this is maybe pointing people in the right direction. If this is something you're passionate about, is saying, you know what, the ASM is doing something on this, or, you know, the coding and billing group within the ATS is the right place to take this up. But I think if people are really passionate about something that fits within our assembly, that is probably something that we want to take a lead on. And so if there's something that people feel they're willing to invest time, I think it's important to recognize that a lot of things we want to change in the government take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to make that change. So we really need people who are willing to stay committed for a long time. But if you are, we'd love to hear what things you want to work in and help you find the resources within the ATS to help pursue those things.
Well, thank you both. I appreciate all of your hard work and for the opportunities our members will have to engage with the work that you're doing in the upcoming months. So I think we've covered all the standing committees and working groups, and I want to move into the chair appointees and also the basic and translational science liaison and the SIC representative. And hopefully we will be able to cover all of it. In the interest of time for the Science and Innovation Center, there are some changes that have come and they're listed here. I'm just going to ask Ankit to introduce himself and also clarify sort of the roles of the PhD Working Group, PBTS, and the Transitioning Science and Innovation Center. So essentially how members should decide where to engage. If you can comment on that, Ankit, that would be great.
Hi everyone. Thanks Naomi for organizing this. I'm Ankit Parekh. I'm associate professor at Mount Sinai, New York in sleep medicine and AI. So the PhD, the Science and Innovation Center encompasses a lot of different subcommittees that include sort of a gathering or community for PhD and basic science researchers to come together and benefit from what the ATS has to offer. The PhD working group is again geared toward enhancing the experience of PhD researchers at ATS across the different subcommittees. So the SRN has a representative in the working group, but it's all across all assemblies. One of the things that the PhD working group was, championing and was successful in actually getting it through was a reduced rate of registration for the PhDs in some of the years at ATS. And so the more PhD researchers and basic science researchers sort of gather together and come toward, enhancing the Science and Innovation Center or the Networking Super Center, the more benefit it will provide to them as well. You can sort of, as you sort of decide where you want to engage and what you, sort of want to do, was one of the challenges that the SIC and the leadership recognized. And so they merged several of these different committees into a networking super center. And so what this means going forward is that you're going to be working closely with a wide sort of, group as part of the networking super center. And within the super center, we'll have different subcommittees where you can, based on your interest at the start of the academic year, decide which group you want to sort of fit into. It could be from those who are nominating for awards, for some web committees or social media and so on. And so there's a lot of potential there that you can enhance the experience of ATS, not just for yourself, but other PhD and basic science researchers.
Well, thank you. And feel free to reach out to myself or Ankit if you have more questions and need direction. And thank you, Ankit, for all your work on this and appreciate you answering the question. I'll move into the basic and translational science piece led by Renee Cortez, who is here. Renee, you're here, right?
Hi,
Yes.
good morning. So yeah, I'm here. So I'm Rene Cortez, associate professor at KUMC in Kansas City. So I'm a liaison for the PhD working group.
Actually, do you mind if I just quickly introduce the initiatives and
Sure,
then
go
I'm gonna
ahead.
hand
Go
it
ahead.
back to you? Sorry,
Okay.
I forgot to do that. So we're gonna have two initiatives that Renee is working on. One is a SRN research symposium that's going to be focused on basic and translational science. It will be a virtual symposium that's going to happen before the ATS meeting where featuring 1 to 2 scientific presentations per session, emphasis on moderate discussion, feedback, and ideas. And then the other is a PBTS Connect, which will be a virtual community networking session, almost like a 1 hour virtual session that Renee is working on gathering or putting together. And, my questions for Renee, you, and again, I'm going to just limit one for now, is why should members show up to either of these initiatives? What do you think why do you think it's important for them so that they should come?
I'm gonna make it very quick. It's good to be engaged because the voices needs to be heard, right? So it's been said already in this meeting. So the numbers really change things. So if we want to have more representation from the research, the wonderful research that the PhD and translational scientists are doing in our assembly, so we should show up, right? And so I'll be happy to help. So there are many resources in the working group that we can work together. So
Okay. And you will be able to communicate these sessions through the ATS sort of pipeline of initiatives, right? How we send out emails, members can look out for the times and dates for these sessions.
absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
And yeah, just get engaged.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Renee, for your leadership in this. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the sessions. I know you're excited about it. I'm as well. Awesome. So last but not least, we have 2 areas. This is really where a lot of the senior folks of the SRN Exec Committee are located. We have chair appointees and senior advisors, and I've selected these folks based on my relationship with them, based on what I observed them doing over the course of my 20 plus years at ATS. I felt like they would bring a lot of sort of complementary expertise and feedback to the group, and they basically serve as they guide me and how I'm doing, and then the way that I've organized it. Andre Zinchuk and Jonathan Junn are my communication strategy sort of leads, and so their task is to advise me on how I'm doing, but also help with the overall communications strategy in the portfolio. So I know Jonathan is in here. Andre, do you want to introduce yourself? And if you have anything you want to add to that, would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Naomi. And my name is Andres Zinchuk. I'm a pulmonary critical care and sleep doc here at Yale, physician scientist, and I've been part of the SRN since 2013 when I was first year pulmonary fellow. And so, Jonathan and I's job is really to help support committees with clear, consistent messaging and help coordinate some of the timing and sequencing of announcements and try to align these communications across the SRN so that the community is hearing things in a unified voice. And we were looking forward to partnering with our web and early career committees to amplify the initiatives, and also looking for members who might be on this call, especially folks, younger individuals who are savvy with social media, to join us and help us amplify the messaging from SRN and help improve our membership numbers.
Well, thank you, Andre. I appreciate it. I don't have anyone from outreach and membership growth because, again, of the rescheduled call, but they both have been working on building alliances with ASM, ERS, and other sort of organizations that I think are important for ATS SRN to partner with. So hopefully you'll hear from them, Rina Mehra and Nisha Arora, at the next town hall. And then I have the chair's accountability with David Ghazal and Atul Malhotra. Both of them have been ATS presidents, and I have absolutely just loved their leadership styles, and they've been guiding me. I met with them last week to get feedback on everything that I've just laid out today. So I'd love for them to introduce themselves and say a few words if they have anything they want to add. So maybe we start with David and Atul.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I hope you're keeping warm and safe. With that, we love ATS. I love ATS for many, many years. And as part of that love, I want to see our assembly be a very successful assembly. So anything that we can do to provide support, provide ideas, or serve as a conduit to leadership in other assemblies or across the organization, since we have known it deep and personal. Anything that we can do to help is obviously, don't hesitate. any ideas that you may want to run by us, we're here to serve you. Once a president, always a serving person. So we are servants of ATS, and we want to continue being so. So all the best. We love what Naomi is doing. She's doing a fantastic job with all the team that you have heard from. And I hope that with your support, they will continue, bringing the assembly forward and gaining kind of the visibility that is needed in order to make our presence felt, both across the conference, across the overall activities of the society, and also across the journals. If you don't submit to the journals, then nobody else will. So please think of the journals as another conduit for being very present and and show an extreme level of robust research activity that will only do us best.
Thank you, David. Atul?
Yeah, so I don't have a lot to add. Atul Malhotra, I was relevant about 10 years ago when I was president and no longer relevant, but we meet privately with Naomi to give her feedback and confidential advice, but she's doing a great job, and I think the level of engagement and energy is sort of palpable. To echo what's been said, the ATS currency is usually strength in numbers, and so based on abstracts and based on numbers of members, those things are important. I think we've really emphasized trying to grow the numbers of abstracts, and all of you can help in that capacity. My theme as president was on engaging the next generation, trying to attract and retain the best and brightest into our field. And the fact that there's so many young people on here, I think, is something makes me very happy in terms of ATS. It was sort of getting stale, and I think it's the new energy is, as I say, palpable. Along those lines, there's two initiatives we can talk about. One is the Aspire Fellowship was started by Rich Schwab while I was president. And if you're not aware of that, it's a good thing to look into. It's a good way to get young people engaged, both during clinical training and during sleep research training. That you get some financial support and some webinars and whatnot. So if you don't know about that, look into it or ask us about it, because it's quite important. And then I sit on the executive as an unpaid member of the ResMed Foundation, and we're announcing some new grants to support sleep research, both bridge grants for people who got good scores in their NIH applications to resubmit, they get some support. And then if you have existing funding that doesn't include sleep, but adding sleep would be beneficial, then there's some funding there as well. So be on the lookout for those ResMed Foundation initiatives, which, as I say, is a 501c3 charity, and it can be quite helpful in terms of sleep research.
Well, thank you both. Those are really important points, and I appreciate both of your guidance. And I know we're a few minutes over, but I want to just end with the Aspire Fellowship that obviously has been instrumental for so many people's careers. Rich, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, Naomi, thanks. Atul, thanks for introducing it. So the Aspire Fellowship is designed to generate the next leaders from a research standpoint, open to pulmonary critical care, ENT, anesthesia fellows. The application opened on January 12th and closes on March 12th. It's pretty simple. You need CV, why you want to do it, and basically protected time. So you need to have protected time for research. So please, if anyone on this call, if you know a fellow who's, whether again, pulmonary critical care, anesthesia, ENT, who's interested in research, you can start this in your clinical year as long as there's a research plan. Please have them apply. It's really a good program. People like it. There's webinars, the education piece of this, there's mentoring. Really good idea for anyone who's interested in doing research. So please apply.
Sorry, Rich, I didn't realize you were on. I didn't mean to stop.
Oh, that's okay.
Steal your
No
thunder.
problem. It's okay.
No worries. That was great. Thank you, Rich. And I appreciate all the work you've been doing. And we're going to hopefully work on helping Aspire sort of get more folks in and apply as many applications as you can get. So we have recorded this session, so we will certainly distribute this to folks that had registered, but also across the broader membership. For those of you who were able to join for part of it or all of it, I appreciate you taking the time. I am really grateful to this committee that is here. It's a lot of it is personal time, or all of it, and volunteering and really working hard. So I cannot thank the SRN Executive Committee for everything that you all do. I really look forward to the next year and a half of really changing some of the way we deliver our programming, but also year-round engagement. So thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at the next town hall in April, and we will send out announcements. And I want to appreciate again and thank the ATS staff for their help. Danielle's here, and I know Miriam was here earlier, so I want to just acknowledge everything that they do to support us. So have a great week, and we will see you soon.